Hey everybody, Professor Hatch. I'm going to talk about the outline for the research paper. So I'm going to share my screen. Actually, I need to share the whole screen. There we go. I'm going to try and make this video as quick as possible. This is the assignment page for the outline on Canvas. And if you look at it, this is an entire outline. The research paper has to be 9 paragraphs, intro, conclusion, and 7 body paragraphs. So this is the entire outline. I've crossed out a few parts in red here. You only need the thesis statement for the intro, and you only need the call to action for the conclusion. And then you don't need analysis for any of the body paragraphs, because that, in my opinion, is the hardest part of essay writing. And the rest of it is fairly easy. This is kind of obviously it's a longer assignment than most outlines, because it's a longer essay than most essays. Up here at the top, you'll see the link to the complete research paper prompt, which I've already made the video for. Click on that, look at that video if you have questions about that. And then if you still have questions, text me on Remind. For this essay, or for this assignment, the outline, I'm asking you, well, I'm recommending that you make use of the research outline template, which you can just click here and then download the thing. I've already downloaded it though, because didn't feel like making you watch it download. So this is the Word doc, and you'll know that there's nothing crossed out in red here. So I'm just going to get rid of the parts we don't have to work on. So I've gotten rid of the first 2 parts of the intro, and I'm getting rid of the first 2 parts of the conclusion. And then I am getting rid of the analysis in all the body paragraphs. Take a second. All right, done. So this is everything else that you have to do for this assignment. So we're going to be talking about systemic racism within a field of your choosing. So before we even start working on the outline, we need to decide what it is we're going to do with the body paragraphs themselves. So the requirements of the essay state that you have to define systemic racism. I'm actually going to say, I'm just going to, the way I do this, I just label the body paragraphs. What am I doing with each body paragraph? I'm actually going to do this in caps. Define systemic racism, and then body paragraph 2. So the next thing is we have to give examples of how systemic racism works in the field we're going to choose to write about. So I'm going to just choose education for the purposes of this video. Example of SR in education. Actually, let's see. Just going to copy and paste that. And yeah, there we go. And then now the next thing we have to do is propose 3 different solutions for systemic racism. So solution number 1. And then body paragraph 5, solution 2. And I need to turn that into an actual 2. Body paragraph 6, solution 3. And then finally, which of these 3 solutions is the best solution? Okay, so there is, I'm going to save this. There is what we're doing with all of these body paragraphs. At this point in the semester, by the time you really start working on this, you'll have already written your race and privilege essay. You'll have already turned in your midterm essay. And you'll be working on the thematic analysis essay as my guess. So you kind of know, we've talked about essay structure at this point. So I'm literally just going to give a couple examples of topic sentences and maybe a transition or 2. And that's going to be it. because you've had several examples already. And then I guess I'll pull together a thesis statement. Um, topic sentence one, systemic, I forgot to capitalize, damn it. Systemic racism is racism that is built into our country's institutions. I don't know, semicolon, it exists with or without the participation of people who support white supremacy. That is a simple definition of systemic racism, but again, this is not even the rough draft. The rough draft is supposed to be shitty, and this isn't even that. This is the outline that will be turned into a rough draft. Can I make that sentence better? Of course I can. Who cares? Moving on. Topic sentence. So let's see. One way systemic racism occurs in education is the school to prison pipeline. Done. That's one way systemic racism occurs in education. Okay, moving on. Topic sentence three, example of systemic racism in education. Let's see, another way that systemic racism occurs in education is, oh, let's see, off the top of my head, especially if I'm thinking about like K through 12 schools. Let's go with property taxes. Is school funding. Another way that systemic racism occurs in education is school funding. And what I mean by that is that neighborhoods that are lower in property value, where the neighborhoods where houses are lower in property value, the schools get less funding because part of school funding is based on property taxes, which means the schools that exist within the rich neighborhoods get more funding than schools that exist within poor neighborhoods, which is bullshit, but also just kind of the world we live in. In any case, I'm not going to go into, I mean, obviously, like a topic sentence would be for the solution. One possible solution to combat this systemic racism in education would be, and then, you know, whatever. I'm not even going to come up with an example. And then another possible solution, and yet another possible solution. The best of these solutions is, you get the idea. I'm going to do something lazy here. Another possible solution to combat the systemic racism in education would be, and then finally, one possible solution to combat systemic racism in education would be blank. And topic sentence, the best of these solutions would be blank. All right, cool. So okay, I lied. I'm giving topic sentences for all of them, but these are very generic and these are just templates really. You can see how this is supposed to work. this is a great thing, by the way. Sometimes Microsoft likes to give you spelling, grammar and spelling suggestions. Hyphenating one way would be completely stupid here because it's not modifying systemic racism. It's saying one way in which systemic racism. And if I wanted to include the words in which, I'm almost positive those blue underlines will go away. Yep. So I'm not going to do that though, because again, this is just an outline. In any case, all right. So now we've got topic sentences for all of these paragraphs. So I'm literally going to build the thesis statement. Um, Systemic racism is a serious problem in the field of education, and this can be seen. Actually, no, I hate that. Especially in the areas, especially in regard to the school to prison pipeline and school funding. Semicolon, because again, thesis statements should be like one sentence. Possible solutions to combat these problems would be blank, blank, and blank. There's my thesis statement, completely put together from the topic sentences that I've already written. Okay, so finally, let's look at a transition. I'm going to do two transitions and I'm going to call this video quits. Systemic racism is racism that is built into our country's institutions, blah, 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 blah. So transition. With a working definition of systemic racism in mind, I don't care if you use first person writing, honestly. So let's examine the problem of the school to prison pipeline. All right. So with the working definition of systemic racism in mind, let's examine the problem of the school to prison pipeline. And then obviously the next sentence is one way systemic racism occurs in education is the school to prison pipeline. Maybe a better topic sentence would be the school to prison pipeline affects X percentage of students of color more than white students or whatever. I'll leave it up to you. A little more specific would be good. But again, that's not a concern for the outline. The concern for the outline is just getting this crap put down into the outline. So that's a transition leading us into the specific problem of the school to prison pipeline. And then now we're going to talk transition into the idea of school funding. So in addition to school funding, I'm sorry, in addition to the school to prison pipeline, there is also the problem. Actually, there's also the huge inequity of school funding based on property taxes. Lot. Okay. So there. And then, another way systemic racism occurs in education is school funding. All right. There. I have done, and then I realize that I do this fast and that this is all going to take you a little bit longer than this, but this is the formula. This is exactly how you put together this outline. The hard part of this is not going to be any of the crap I've just done. The hard part is going to be, which hopefully you've already done leading up to this, you need to have your evidence The whole reason for having the two annotated bibliography assignments leading up to this outline is to give you plenty of time to find evidence and to find quotes. If you know you're going to be working on systemic racism in education, then obviously you're going to be looking for sources that talk about systemic racism in education. If you know you want to look specifically at the school to prison pipeline or the problem of inequitable school funding based on property taxes, then you know you're going to be looking for that. So hopefully at the point you're here in the if I would finish this outline, I would finish by, the next thing I do is finish transitions for every body paragraph, except for the final one where there is no transition. And then I would start throwing my quotes in there under evidence. And then I would go and put in the context, which is just setting up the quote for every body paragraph. So hopefully you've already got the quotes in mind for the things you want to talk about. If not, that's going to take some time and you're going to have to do that. The stuff I've just done, coming up with topic sentences, coming up with transitions, and then building a thesis statement out of all that, that does not take very much effort. A little bit, not a whole lot. I think it takes longer to actually think about this shit in your head than it does to get it written. I could include a call to action here, but I'm not sure. I don't know. My call to action might be write to your elected representatives and tell them to get their shit together with school funding or whatever. Yeah, so that's everything. So I'm gonna wind up I'm just gonna save all this so I've got it on my hard drive here. That's really all you have to do for the outline. I could spend a little more time on it, but again, you're familiar with outlines at this point, and I just want a nap. um I just, I just spent the entire week sick, so I'm gonna go take a nap. Damn it, I'm an old man who needs a nap. Um This outline, I will upload this outline to the file section and I will link to it in the outline assignment page. So you'll see a link to it. When you're done looking at this video, scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see a link to this outline that I just made up on the fly here. If you want to refer to it, if that helps you out, awesome. As with everything, text me on Remind 24/7. Phone doesn't make noise. I'll get back to you. If it's 3 in the morning, obviously I'll get back to you in the morning when I wake up, unless I have insomnia. And I think that's everything that needs to be said. I hope this video isn't too long. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap now. Bye, everybody.